Hi, I'm Morgan Dreamus with RT Book Reviews, and I'm at the RWA National Conference with Carrie Lofty. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great because I have just got done reading your historical novel. It's a Christie novel, the Christie family, and it was Starlight, and I have to say I completely fell in love. It's one of my favorite romances this year.
That's fabulous.
And I think one of the reasons that I really liked the story so much is because of your heroine. She's a very strong character. She's starting a union, kind of a Norma Ray type character. In the slums of Scotland, she's going to make sure everyone in her garment factory and her community is taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much a kind of a mother figure. That her father was a union representative, but in a peaceful sense, that he wanted to try and remake this community for fair and just reasons, and she's taking over his position as kind of de facto leader because everybody knows her in the community and they trust her, and she's the one who's speaking for them most selflessly and wants better things for the people that she loves. So I liked her determination. It wasn't just being spunky. She had really, really good reasons for it, and the people she loved was her best motivator.
And I think what's really great about her, and something that I wish I had a little more of, she's so charismatic when she gets in front of a group of people. She's so inspiring. And there's a few scenes in the books where you just want to like jump on a table and join her in her quest for, equality and purpose.
Justice, yeah. I wanted her to be this, firecracker where she just knew how to command a room. And we see that a lot in male characters in romance, and you can have women who are influential in a circle, but for her to stand up in front of a group and be able to make this happen. And I did a lot of research about the trade unions of the 19th century, and especially in weaving and garments, women were incredibly influential because by that point a lot of the men had moved on to being dock workers or steel workers, and the people who were left over were the women and children, and they had to pretty much fend for themselves. And so there were a lot of attempts by women to unionize, and I just thought, what if one of them was really successful and was able to? And that's where it started. And Scotland actually had public education available for boys and girls since the 17th century. So I'm like, it's possible. She could have had this really incredible dad and made her into this very strong, determined woman who was not necessarily out of keeping with history. And I liked being able to find that little inroad to make her unusual but still plausible.
Well, this isn't the first character that you've taken to kind of unusual places, or you followed to unusual places. You're a little bit known for kind of a non-traditional setting for your books. Your first Christie novel took place in Africa, of all places.
South Africa, yeah, in a diamond mining city called Kimberley, it's pretty much like the Wild West, but in South Africa. And I've set books in Austria and Spain and Italy, and so...
What draws you to these unusual places? I know what draws me, because I'm not going to find that setting anywhere else. So it really is exciting, especially, we can visit now, but what did it look like back in the day? And you really kind of bring that to the reader. But for you as the writer, why do you do that?
Well, I have a master's in history, and I was fascinated by the American West for, oh my goodness, since I was 10 or 12 years old. The Pony Express and all of this sort of Old West lore. I actually got my master's in the mythology and reality of Jesse James and Wild Bill Hickok, and so I was obsessed with it.
You can get a degree in Wild Bill Hickok.
It's in history and pop culture and American history. So it was very much this sort of big surprise where literature meets history. I didn't quite know yet how far that would take me, but that was my thesis. And after studying it for 10 years, I kind of like popped my head out and went, look, there's all this other history. And my husband is from England, so I was tired of him. No.
We don't need to look into that anymore.
No,
we know England.
No, it was very much like that's a safe, familiar place, like going to my parents' house in Indiana. It was not as exotic as it would be for someone who's never been or who has a fascination with England. I know the pubs and I know the clubs and the streets and everything, and I like modern England, and it just wasn't as exotic for me as going someplace completely new. And I have set 2 works in England, but one is a Robin Hood based and one was with commoner characters in London. So even then, I just started messing with stuff. But I don't know. I'm just drawn to these stories that haven't been told yet, and there are so many fantastic Regency authors and Scottish Highland authors that I would have to have something incredibly new to say to enter into that world. And I didn't feel like I had anything better to say than was already being said by these wonderful authors, and I wanted to take these other routes and see where they took me. I didn't expect to go to South Africa. I mean, really? But so it just became this kind of niche that I've been carving out very slowly for the last 4 years. So it's been fun.
Well, there's more Christie siblings. Of course, their father has passed away, and in his will for them to inherit their inheritance, lots of money here, they have to kind of go and do a year of his bidding.
Yes.
Beyond the grave, he writes it, and you have to go and do this. Hence the diamond mine in Africa and the garment factory in Scotland. We have more siblings. Now, I know we're not going to see another Christie novel for a little bit. We've got a little bit of a wait, but I'm really excited, and so I want to know what sibling is next. When we do get to the next sibling, where are we going to go?
The next sibling will be Gwen. She's the youngest of the four, and she's an opera singer, and she winds up in Australia on a vineyard, and as far away from opera as you can pretty much get.
You never disappoint. Australia, I love it.
I don't know if we're going to stay in Australia completely, because I don't necessarily want to make them all, oh yay, look, we're staying here for 2 years and we're going to make a go of it. I want one of them at least to go, I'm out of here.
Done.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to my dad. He's not here around anymore. So
he was a self-made man and really wanted to teach them the value of what he had gone through, which was especially potent in Starlight, because he sends his oldest son back to the town where he grew up, this part of Glasgow that made him who he is. And so that full circle aspect was really appealing to me, to kind of bring the oldest son back and say, this is who your father was. But for Gwen, I'm thinking that she's going to be the youngest and the most spoiled and the most set in her, I'm a diva. That's the title, is Diva, actually. And so vineyard, no. Gardening, no. I see her wanting to leave pretty quickly, but it is a little ways off, and we're still kind of in the brainstorming awesome stage of all sorts of potential. But yeah, she's up next.